Good morning, and thank you for having me. I am delighted to be here, and I am so happy to share our team project with all of you. There are four other members, including Ha Cha Ling and Thế Anh. Recognizing the importance of this matter, my team chose interracial marriage as a research topic for our presentation. To begin with, our team member want to show you an overview to understand thoroughly about interracial marriage, which express a meaningful message about love. Human beings have the right to be happy and to be loved, regardless of any races or skin color. Moreover, the project is divided into four parts, including definition, history, status quo, and some specific examples. To begin with, Ms. Ling will give the definition of interracial marriage. Subsequently, Ms. Ha will present about the history, and Ms. Thế Anh will be responsible for the status quo. Cha will be the last member to show you a slew of specific illustrations of interracial marriage. Ultimately, Anh will undertake the opening and the ending of this presentation.
Now, I will show you the definition of interracial marriage. Interracial marriage is a term used to describe marriages which take place between people of different ethnic, racial, or cultural backgrounds. It can be considered as a form of miscegenation or exogamy. At one point, interracial marriage was historically a taboo, as well as illegal in the United States, until 1967, a United States Supreme Court ruling that placing race-based restrictions on whom one could marry is in violation of the United States Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. This clause is a part of the 14th Amendment.
To talk about history and the origin of interracial marriage. Before the Civil War, the prospect of black men marrying white women terrified many Americans. According to white American women, they would be raped, defied, sullied by the savage jungle beast. The first interracial marriage in the United States was that of the women today commonly known as Pocahontas, who get married with tobacco planter John Rolfe in 1614. After the first legal interracial marriage in the United States was that of African American professor William G. Allen and a white student Mary King in 1853. However, the most tenacious form of legal segregation, the banning of interracial marriage, was not fully lifted until the last anti-miscegenation law was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in a unanimous ruling Loving v. Virginia. According to Virginia court, if any white person intermarry with a colored person or any colored person intermarry with a white person, he shall be guilty of a felony and shall be punished by confinement in the penitentiary on not less than 1 or more than 5 years. However, the banning of interracial marriage was cancelled. The court's landmark decision, which was made on June 12, 1967, has been commemorated and celebrated every year on the Loving Day in the United States.
Nowadays, the number of racial marriage is taking place. More plus countries around the world are increasingly advocating for marriage of different race. Countries that support marriage of different race, such as US, Australia, Vietnam, and so on. In the 1950s, only about 5% people agreed with this, while today interracial marriage is approved by more than 80% of the population. The Supreme Court of the United States changed everything in 1967 when the Supreme Court of the United States ruled in Loving v. Virginia, in which outcome of the lawsuit determined that the laws against intermarriage were contrary to the Constitution. Even though United States has come a long way from loving Virginia. However, racial division persists and interracial couples continue to face opposition from family members, stigma, and discrimination. Barriers to mixed marriage continue to exist. For that reason, social demographic groups continue to maintain negative attitudes toward mixed marriage. Meanwhile, the number of interracial marriages in Australia is growing as the country becomes more racially diverse. The proportion of marriage between two Australians has steadily declined over the past 20 years, from 73% of our marriage in 2006 to 55% in 2016. Vietnamese citizens marrying foreigners have become more common in Vietnam over the past few years. However, Vietnamese citizens marrying foreigners can be strongly opposed by the family members. Plus, because of the trend of marrying foreigners, many Vietnamese, especially women, have fallen into the trap of pay people. As a result, they are easily trafficked across borders. In addition to countries that are advocating interracial marriage, there are also countries that restrict marriage with foreigners. One of the countries that restrict interracial marriage can be mentioned as Korea. According to official statistics, since 2000, about 236,000 foreign women married to South Korea have settled in this country and gave birth to about 190,000 children. But since 2010, there has been more and more information about foreign wives being beaten, tortured, or even killed, such as the case of a 20-year-old Vietnamese bride being sentenced to death by her husband with a mental illness weeks after arriving in Korea. In fact, the tragedy of many foreign brides in Korea is not only due to language difference or the low income of their husbands, but it is also because Korean society has not really accepted interracial marriage.
And Richard Loving, a white man, were married. A grand jury issued an indictment charging the Loving with violating Virginia's ban on interracial marriages. The Lovings pleaded guilty to the charge and were sentenced to 1 year in jail. However, the trial judge suspended the sentence for a period of 25 years on the condition that the Lovings left the state and not returned to Virginia together for 25 years. On November 6, in 1963, Loving and Rita filed a motion in the state trial court to vacate the judgment, and the Lovings perfected an appeal to the Supreme Court of Virginia. The Supreme Court appeals upheld the constitutionality of the anti-miscegenation statute. The Lovings appealed this decision to the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court vacated the Virginia court's decision. Another example is the marriage of Mark Elias Zuckerberg, the founder of social networking sites Facebook and Priscilla Chance. Both are Americans, but Chance is a yellow woman and Mark is a white man. The marriage took place in 2012 and was recognized by U.S. law. From those examples mentioned above, interracial marriages have increased more and more since 1967, when U.S. Supreme Court ruled on interracial marriage. Not only the United States, many countries in the world have recognized the legality of interracial marriages, including Vietnam.
The right to be happy is one of the fundamental human rights, in which the recognition of interracial marriage not only guarantees the basic rights, but also is the premise of equality between races. While the place of races is mothering, the acceptance of some countries in law have brought to mankind in general and interracial couples in particular enormous meaning and support.